you know, extension cords for plugging the camper into shore power for like $50. You know, you can easily pay that up for one. Well, by the fucking looks of it, Kennedy's gonna be a fucking parking site again. So Kennedy's now out of the picture for the whole fucking summer. What, from when that starts to when that ends. You know, so then I sent those, you know, it was a Facebook Marketplace post. I'm gonna go down to fucking Pickle, I guess. I won't feel too bad about going down there. And it was, I don't remember what the fucking post all said. And so it's two 25-foot 30 amp cords for like $30, or no, it's $50 for two. So you had 50 feet for $50. So you're basically paying, and this sounds weird because I don't understand it enough, but this is how I understand it. But you're paying like $1 a foot, which isn't expensive. It's not bad. $1 a foot. I mean, if you can get it for like 50 cents a foot, that'd be better yet. But $1 a foot isn't bad. So then Dad looked, was like, whatever. And I sent that link to him. You know, thinking for the integrity of the camper. And I'm thinking for the integrity of the camper, you know, so that because with the cord we are using is 100-foot 10 gauge heavy duty construction extension cord, you know, so it's got the, you know, 15 amp 110 volt ends on it, you know, your normal outlets you normally see in like a house or on an extension cord, you know, because they do make other extension cords that have weird ends, obviously, you know, for like campers and other heavy duty objects, you know, like welders, generators, you know, to hook up to a generator, you know, for like welding or to have power for other shit, you know, like running your house. If you have, because they make generators too that you can have wired in to where, you know, have it ran on natural gas, because so then if you have, like, let's say a power outage, natural gas is never going to get cut off unless, like, the city shuts it off. You know, so, like, let's say your bill isn't paid, the city will shut it off. For other than that, natural gas is always going to be on. So then that way there you can have a a big generator, you know, a big generator. I mean a huge one. Can be brought to your house, concrete pad poured, wired into your house. You know, so then once the concrete pad is poured and dried and hard and whatever, the generator will get put on there and then wired in to the house. So you'll have wiring that's ran from the generator into the breaker box, and I think there's a wire that gets ran into the main breaker. So when I don't know how it all works. So when but I know there's a wire that is ran to sense when the power goes out. I don't know how it gets hooked up, you know, whether it's at the main breaker or whatever. I think that may be the case, is at the main breaker. So then when it senses that there's no power coming into the house at, let's say, the main, you know, let's just go with the main breaker. You know, so when the generator senses that there's no power coming through the main, that wire will send a thing to, like, the computer or whatever on the inside of that generator, and it'll trigger the generator to turn on. And the generator will give the house power. And then once it senses that the power is back on, coming through the main, the generator will turn off. I just don't understand how it all works, you know. All I know is that once the generator senses that the power is off, turns on and gives the house power. Well, then when the power, you know, your main source of power comes back on, which generally is from your public service, you know, your electric bill from the state or whatever, you know, city, state, whatever. You know, so it'd be like Wisconsin Public Service. They deal with, like, water, I think it's gas and electricity mainly, but I don't know. So you know, so, but, you know, your smaller generators, yeah, they have 110 outlets as well, depending on the model, but generally a lot of your big shit is going to have your 240 volt twist lock outlets. Looks like somebody's getting a new driveway. Maybe. You know, so you got your 240 volt twist lock, which you can use that in residential shit too. Your normal 240 volt outlets. Yep, getting a new driveway. You know, and then you got 210 or 220. You know, so you got your 220, 240. You know, then you got your 220 volt ends that kind of look like which isn't sound weird. 220 volt. There are several different. You can use 240 volt ends for 220. And work fine. I believe.